at some point, the basic economics really matter. And they matter because, not that it's bad that rich people are getting richer, it's bad that everyone else is getting poorer. And it's especially bad that young people can't afford homes. Let me just put a very precise point on this. If you want a measure of how your economy is doing, I personally favor eliminating GDP as a measure. I don't even know what that is. It's clearly not relevant. They tell me Japan has a stagnant GDP. Have you been to Tokyo? It's the single most radicalizing experience you'll ever have because it's just so nice. You lost the war? Really? Can we lose a war and wind up like this? GDP. No. I don't know what even that is. The total economic activity. Oh, no. My measure is really simple. I got a bunch of kids. Can they afford houses with full-time jobs at like 27, 28? And the answer is no way. And the answer is that 35-year-olds with really good jobs can't afford a house unless they stretch and go deep into debt. And I just think that's a total disaster. That's a complete disaster. Why? Two reasons. One, if people don't own things, they don't feel ownership of the country they're in. And the country gets super volatile because people feel like they've got nothing to lose. When you have a lawn, trust me, you're thinking long term. Second, it's really hard to have a family without a house. It is. It's like super fun to live in an apartment if, there's like a bar downstairs, you're in a cool neighborhood. I'm in East Village, it's so cool. Try to have 3 kids. You're not gonna have 3 kids there, you can't. Nobody wants to raise their kids in that neighborhood. Nobody wants to raise their kids in an apartment. People do it because they have to, nobody wants to. People want a little house, not some McMansion, just a little normal house. That is the actual American dream. And that is what is totally unattainable for young people. And so the only young people in general that you will ever meet who have houses are young people whose parents help them. And God bless their parents. That's a perfectly great thing to do for your kids. But most people's parents can't afford to do that because they're already in debt from their pointless college degree. So that is a national emergency. One of the reasons it's happening is because normal people with normal jobs no longer believe they can win in this system and that all the money is going to the worst people. And no one even stops to ask what the hell is going on. What I'm saying is that our leadership class should say something about it and should assign a moral value to it. And if you're getting rich by loaning money to people at incredibly high interest rates, that's something you're gonna have to talk to God about. That is not good. That is not virtuous. That's disgusting. And the fact that nobody feels free to say that, nobody feels like you can just say like 30% on a credit card? Why is anybody paying a credit card bill? Because they always say like, if the very rich, if you borrow enough from a bank, you're kind of in charge of the bank because they need you to pay them back. So they're totally happy to negotiate terms with you. But if you borrow a little bit from the bank, they'll just take your house away. So what if people got together and just decided, wait a second, 30% interest is a lot, especially since they're pushing credit cards on kids like crack. And I know that conservatives are always like, well, it's your fault if you don't pay back the credit card. Yeah, okay, it's my fault, but maybe it's a little bit their fault too. They're pushing this crap on kids. So I say to this guy, maybe just people get together, not like everybody, but just a couple million people are not gonna pay our credit cards and just like bring the bank to its knees and the CEO weeps on television, they readjust it down a little bit. And he goes, oh, no, that's radical. That's too radical. And I'm like, I don't think I'm very radical. I think I'm like very moderate, super moderate. I hate change. My parents got divorced. I hate change. I like things to be exactly the same every day. I'm not radical. What I am is very worried that if we don't do something really soon, we're gonna wind up like New York City. That there's gonna be actual radicalism. And that radicalism will take very unhelpful forms. And you're gonna see race and ethnic hatred that's real. And that you're gonna see people behaving in hard to control ways. I wanna look around and see a better country. I wanna see a country I recognize. I don't wanna see people sleeping on the sidewalk. I don't wanna see people ODing on drugs. I wanna know where are those drugs coming from? Why can't you stop it? You've got the US military. Don't you have SEAL Team 6? Like, what are they doing today? Don't you have Delta Force? You could give me another segment about how impressive the US military is? I believe you. Why aren't they employed to make my country better? Why are my cities disgusting? I don't even want to go there. It smells like weed and halal food. And you're lecturing me about how it's a great moral victory that I kicked the boys off the girls' soccer team? Good, I'm so glad. But let's do the real stuff, like making New York livable and create an economy where my kids can have kids. How about this? How about we just make the measure really super simple? Can my children have without the benefit of like the great luck I have had, can they have a roughly approximate life that I had? Or how about just a middle-class life? I think it's so important for every person to look around and make your own decisions about what's important. What's important to you? What around you in your life? What do you see in your family, among your friends, in the town that you live in that's going wrong? Those are the biggest problems. Not what some shill on television is telling you your biggest problems are. He can shut up, but he won't. But look around. What's the biggest problem in your life? And if you're burdened by a car loan or some credit card payment you can never actually make, if you can't afford to make the full payment on your credit card 2 months in a row, that's a crisis, okay? That's a crisis. If you're in the hole to DraftKings to a point where you can't pay, I'm serious. These are huge problems, and most of them are money related. And if they're not solved, you're not getting married, and you're not having children, and you're not gonna have a happy, fulfilling life, period. And they tell you, oh, it's all about values. Yeah, okay, values. You can't afford a house? I don't care what your values are like. You're not having 4 kids in an apartment. So you need to be heard on that. And anyone who tells you, oh, shut up, racist, hoist the middle finger and tell them, keep talking to me that way, pal, and we'll punish you.